in this current state of flux, Ashley wanted out there. He wanted the Saudis in. It didn't happen. There's still massive unrest about Mike Ashley, and still Bruce tries to soldier on.
Well, therein lies the biggest problem. Look, first and foremost, I mean, I know Steve Bruce, and I'm very fond of him. I watch Newcastle with a degree of vested interest because of my relationship with previous owners, and of course, my relationship with Steve Bruce. I look at their results, and I think, put the style of play to one side, I'm not entirely sure what results they would have gotten better out of the games they've played recently, besides Leeds and Sheffield United, that they should have done slightly better on. The Brentford game is the one that I really felt Steve should be very disappointed with.
Yeah, Trevor's right about
he's
that.
Promised the fans that they'll have a go in these cup tournaments, that they want to win a cup and bring it back to St James's Park and give them something to cheer for. And they had an opportunity, no better opportunity. And Steve will know that. I look at the personnel he's got and say, it's all well and good to say you want to play in a certain way, but you've got to have the personnel to do it.
Yeah.
It's all well and good saying Dwight Girl's the answer. He's not the answer. That's why he keeps getting bounced out of teams that get promoted. That's why he gets bounced out of West Brom, bounced out of Palace when they go up. Andy Carroll gets a game last week, misses 2 sitters. Whatever you haven't got is the reasons why you don't achieve something in an individual game. Should he be braver? Possibly. Should he be more expansive in his football? If the personnel he's got allows him to do that. Has he lost 2 key components of the Newcastle team that give him stability? One is Lascelles, that makes their unit at the back more cohesive, and one is St Maximin, that gives them momentum going forward. You take those 2 out and say, OK, on an average side, they are going to be made to look even less compelling. You look at Fulham, you look at Burnley, you look at Sheffield United, and you look at Wolves, who are one place above them, and say, OK, with due respect to Newcastle fans who are probably going apoplectic now, what exactly do you expect from the investment that your owner puts in? Mike Ashley has put £35 million into player acquisition this summer. Given the circumstances that the world's in, that's probably a reasonable sum. But Fulham have spent significantly more than that, and they lie third and bottom in the league. Their fans aren't up in arms.
True.
Right? When Newcastle went, Bruce is never going to pass the sniff test with these guys for 2 reasons. And I had him as a manager, and Brucey will play expensive football if the personnel that he has allows him to do it. I look at his midfield and I think of people like John Joe Shelvey that have got loads of passing range but got no legs. I don't think he's got a lot of energy in the middle of the park. He gives my favourite player, Ryan Fraser, an opportunity to perform. And what does he do? Gets himself sent off. And you look at these things and you say, I can't defend Steve against games like Brentford. He opens it up a little bit against Leeds, gets bashed by 5 goals because Leeds are irresistible at times. Look, the notion that it's style of play and the notion that there is an element of more ambition that could be funneled into his side, I can't disagree with it to some extent. I saw Brucey on television last night. He looked tired and he looked fed up. And I'm not surprised. I don't think his players did him a great deal of service last night.
In view of what you're saying, Simon, is he still the only man for the job?
Well, no one's the only man for any job, Jim. The job that he's got is currently the one that he occupies. And it's not just a case of him being... And it's not just me defending Bruce because he's my mate, because you get a pile-on from these binary guys on Twitter that say, because he's mate, you're defending him. Losing against Brentford...
It's happening right now. There's Daniel. Bruce out. Simply not good enough.
Losing against Brentford was crap. And that unravels things, and it gives people an opportunity to really ramp it up, right? And Trevor will say, Sheffield United are not mugs. They've been poor, but there's been some games where they've been so profligate in their finishing that they could have won those games if their strikers had done things a little bit better. They missed chances last night, Sheffield United, and could have been even further in front. But Newcastle are a very strange side because their fans are a phenomenon. It's a phenomenal football club, but their expectations, based upon what their owner's model is unrealistic. I don't care. You could bring in Mourinho in there, or you could bring in Pep Guardiola in there. Unless they're going to give them the backing to go and spend 50, 60, 70, 80 million pounds in every transfer window, Newcastle will remain where they are. Okay, so you get what you get, and you deserve what you get. Yeah, in other words, not the fans necessarily. No.
Mark Sweeney there on Twitter is saying, look, it's quite simple. The biggest problem is the owner, Ashley. He has no ambition for the club and appoints a manager like Steve Bruce. You know what you get with Bruce, and here we are.